Alright, top 10 worst list time, and you know what that means. Dark blue shirt that's darker than light blue shirt, but it's still blue, but it's dark, which almost means it's bad, but it's not. Alright, here is the list of the top 10 worst movies of 2011. And just like the top 10 best list, I didn't see everything that came out in 2011, so I'm sure there's a couple movies that would be on here had I seen them, but I didn't. And there were a lot of movies that deserve to be on this list that came out in 2011. Rest assured, there will be a few that should be on here, but they just can't be. 10 slots and all. However, if it really perplexes you, you should probably make a top 10 worst list of 2011 video, because that's what all the cool kids are doing. Enough babbling, here we go. Number 10. Alright, so this movie started the year off with a bang, so I'm gonna start my video off with this movie. Season of the Witch. Alright, so Nicolas Cage has done some shit movies in his lifetime. No one's arguing that. And now he's done Season of the Witch. This tried to be some medieval epic or something like that. Turns out it's just a generic movie with its generic characters on their generic quest in the generic movie of generic. It's not good. At all. Number 9. Ever see about 25 lead characters mean nothing, do nothing, and be nothing in a movie? Yeah, so have I. It's called New Year's Eve. The movie's called New Year's Eve, the movie's about New Year's Eve, and the movie wasn't in theaters long enough to even make it to New Year's Eve. Yeah, it's probably a misstep right there. A character-based movie with characters that just don't matter. That's like having an entire main course of a meal be a big block of tofu. Not smart, and not good. Number 8. Kevin James, I know you're funny. I know you can be funny. I've seen you funny. I've laughed at the funny things that you've done and said. And then you started doing theatrical movies. Then you did Zookeeper. This is a low point in Kevin James' career, and somehow they got Nick Nolte to voice a gorilla. Luckily, Nick Nolte has Warrior to fall back on. Kevin James has a show that was canceled a few years ago. Funny show. Not enough. Number 7. The unofficial vampire sequel to Legion. Now we got Priest. Paul Bettany, I don't know what this dude's deal is. He was like, I just want to do generic crappy movies in which I play a priest or a holy figure of some kind. As long as the movie's not good, I am down with it. Let's sign the paperwork. I'll give this movie a couple things. One, it was exactly what I thought the movie would be from the trailer, and Maggie Q, because she's just hot, and I'm giving the movie that. Other than that, nothing. Number 6. Alright, we've all had a creepy-ass roommate that we would just rather forget. Again, a generic-ass movie in which this small, mousy, unstable girl is like supposed to be threatening or something? Yeah, Cam, last name I can't pronounce, is gonna be threatened by this chick. That makes a perfect amount of sense. This movie wasn't just bad, it was horrible. This movie was one of those movies, when I was making this list, I forgot about that movie entirely, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that movie. This has to be on there. It's like all the negative of having a creepy, unstable chick roommate without any of the perks that might come with that situation. Number 5. Alright, we all love Alexander Dumas, and at a point, we liked Three Musketeer movies. Then at a point, they just started becoming bad, and then worse. Three Musketeers. Alright, Paul W.S. Anderson directed this movie, and as a lot of you probably know, I'm not a big fan of his at all. I enjoyed the first Mortal Kombat. Pretty much nothing else after that. It's like he was like, alright, studio, here's the pitch. I'm gonna make a Three Musketeers movie, and I'm not gonna give a shit about it. And the lowest low of this movie is that Christoph Waltz is in it. Man, how? That guy could win an Oscar. Oh yeah, he did. And he's pretty much done nothing worth remembering after that. Number 4. Alright, we have D-Box as a gimmick, we have 3D as a gimmick, now we have Aromascope as a gimmick. Spy Kids 4D all the time in the world. I understand this movie's made for kids, so it's not supposed to appeal to adults, but when you have Jeremy Piven and Joel McHale in this shitty movie and they're horrible in it, that's bad enough. But then when you have some stupid gimmick that's like, oh, the baby shit its diaper, here, smell the scratch and sniff thing, I'm like, no, why would I do that? No. This movie actually just angered me by concept and execution. There's no way it wasn't gonna be on this list. Don't see this. Ever. Number 3. Alright, so this movie came out on Friday. I saw it on Monday, so there was an entire weekend in which people were like, dude, this is the worst movie ever. And I was like, it's gotta be overhyped. The horrid nature of this movie's gotta be overhyped by now, but it wasn't. Conan the Barbarian was every bit as bad as I had heard it was. Other than the fact that this movie doesn't take off until about 30 minutes into the movie, the editing's all over the place, like the things happen, like this mountain's crumbling around everyone, and then it's not, and then it is again. They're like, oh, let's have the Barbarian from Game of Thrones and the bad guy from Avatar and throw him in a movie with Rose McGowan and it'll all be good. No, it'll be exactly what you think it's gonna be. Number 2. Alright, just like a top 10 best list, these next two, number 1 and 2, could interchange, but I've put them in this order for a good reason. Number 2 is actually The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1. The Twilight Saga has trucked along and is built up to this. The worst of the movies. Nothing happens in this movie. It's like New Year's Eve with 1/3 the actors. But at least dogs talk to each other with psychic powers. What? This would have been number 1 had another movie not come out this year. Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1, you're an honorary number 1 in my book. As Yoda once said, there is another. number 1. Alright, the movie that actually made me angry. I was sitting there and this movie just infuriated me. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Jack and Jill. The reason this movie pissed me off so much is that Adam Sandler has been funny in his life. There was a time in the 90s, Adam Sandler was just a funny dude. He made funny movies. Toilet Humor, most of them, yeah, but then there was Wedding Singer, and that was good. Really good, actually. So I know what he's capable of, and he's just declined to the point where Jack and Jill then came out, and I was like, done. I'm done with this guy. And I wanted to make this number 2 because Al Pacino was in it, and I was like, he did provide a couple of funny lines in the movie, but in the end, that's one of the saddest aspects of this movie. Al Pacino is in it. I don't know what Adam Sandler was told by Satan to get this movie greenlit, but somehow it happened. You know, that's what it is. The devil himself came to Adam Sandler and was like, all right, Jeremy's gonna make a top 10 worst list of 2011. Can you make a worse movie than Twilight? And here we are. Good job, Twilight. Satan saved you. So those are my picks for the top 10 worst movies of 2011. What are your picks? Comment below. Let me know. Make a video about it. Put it as a video response. Go crazy. When I do these lists like this, I can't wait to see what the next year brings. 2012, I can only imagine. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.